This is Between Hooksets. I'm Chasen Walter from In Through the Outdoors with my partner in slime, Curt Underhill from the fishing crew.
What's going on, buddy?
Not much. Smell a little slimy. The walleye are biting again, but the little ones were biting tonight, which means the bigger ones are coming a day or two from now. So
there you go.
Yep, we
back
should
to
be
full moon phase next weekend. So,
is it full moon phase already? I
think next weekend.
Yeah, it's coming along like the 16th, 17th, 18th, something like that. So, yeah, and I hope Mother Nature will play along and we still have open water. I don't think we're going to have any ice. Probably not until Thanksgiving or later. It sounds like the weather's going to hold in that 40-degree range. So, we should be good there. We've got some time left, and we're very lucky. We're lucky enough to have a great guest tonight, too. I'm excited about Kevin Hohn. He represents Seafoam. He is the new business development manager for Seafoam, and we're going to bring him on, and we're going to talk about Seafoam season. I started using Seafoam. Matter of fact, I'll tell my story real quick after we say hello to Kevin. Kevin, hello. Thanks for joining us.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, how's it going tonight?
Good.
So when I first started living every other weekend out at Lake Oahe, I went into Gettysburg to the Napa, and I asked the guy for some fogger and some this and some that, and he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, I need to winterize my boat. He goes, here, and he gave me a can of Seafoam. He goes, put it in the gas, go out and run it, and shut it off. You're done. That's what everybody does out here. So stop screwing around. You don't need to fog. You don't need to this. You don't need to that. You're wasting your time. And I started to do that, and I'm amazed at how awesome it works. And I'm not, we're not trying to sell product tonight. We're going to find out where Seafoam came from, and find out all of the different products and fun things that Seafoam offers, and that's kind of where we're headed. We're between hooksets. I'm fishing a little bit here and there. Curt is working on tournament stuff. So we're between hooksets, and you're right there in the middle of it. So we appreciate you being with us.
Yeah, you bet. Glad to be here, guys.
So I think the first thing I want to know, because you and I were talking a little bit, and I noticed you've got Seafoam in the background there, but it seems like a lot of racing there. And then you told me, well, we're kind of into racing. So tell us tell us this story about racing, and is it a hobby, or what is it for you?
Well, we're fortunate enough to have Houston Speedway right out here outside of Sioux Falls over by Brandon, one of the top dirt tracks in the country.
We should rephrase that. We're lucky enough to have Houston's back.
Right. Well, exactly. Well, thank you, Curt. That's a good point. You hit that. Yeah, we've got Houston's back, but yeah, it's just kind of funny. I mean, me and my buddy started hanging out there back in high school, back in the early 70s, and watching those modifieds and street stocks and stuff. And I don't know, I just kind of became hooked. Well, I met my wife in junior high, and lo and behold, that was a family event for her and her family too on Sundays. And it was just kind of weird that here we've been kind of hanging out at the same places, after we got to know each other, but didn't know each other existed. And then come to find out, my older brother and my sister used to hang out with her sisters and cousins, So anyway, so I got a wife that really likes racing. But anyway, we've got the race cars around here, and I talked the Seafoam into doing some sponsorship at the racetracks, like being the Victory Lane sponsor, or some special Seafoam nights or things like that. And I do that at Hooksets. I do it down at Knoxville Speedway down in Knoxville, Iowa. Do it over at Jackson, Minnesota. I also help out with the Front Row Challenge over in Oskaloosa. But anyway, so no, we're big race fans, and me and my wife help out a half a dozen different race car drivers ourselves, and they're kind enough to put Seafoam on the car, like you can see in the background here. And so that's been on a few sprint cars and some hobby stock cars or late models. So had a lot of fun doing that, and just a lot of good people at the racetrack. So
Good.
that's kind of our story on that.
So what's your favorite racing number?
My favorite racing number?
Is it number 3? Is it 11C? Is there, you don't have
that's probably a loaded question. Depends on who's running what.
Exactly, because they jump around cars every year.
Yep, sure.
Different owner, but Doug Wolfgang is kind of up here in my same neighborhood here in the Sioux Falls, Harrisburg area, and so I've known Doug a lot of years, and he's always been one of our favorites, you know. And I guess I grew up with Doug Wolfgang, Steve Kinzer, Sammy Swindell, Hod Childs, and you know, people like that. And so, you know, there's just a lot of good racers out there, and there's a lot of good young kids coming up in go-karts and cage cars and things like that in these smaller classes. And it's just fun to support them. You know, it takes a lot of money to have that hobby. And I'm not a rich guy by any means, but you know, when you buy a tire for somebody or a little bit of fuel or something like that, that means the world to them. That really does help. So
that might get them to the races that night, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
Exactly.
You know,
that's commendable.
That one tank of fuel might just get them around that racetrack that night because I came from, you know, in high school, my buddy had a race car, we wrenched and raced go-karts and did all that stuff. So before I got big into, my dad was big into fishing, and then I kind of did the teenage thing and ran away for a while and then came back into the fishing world. But I do like to watch me some dirt track racing. I've been to, it was not necessarily NASCAR, but it was NASCAR style down in Iowa. That's not my thing. I like to get dirt in my eyes, and I want to leave and have to take a shower after I'm done. That's my favorite. And
you know, dirt in your beer. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Yep. You know, a little crunch every time you take a drink. And
there you go.
I mean, it's, I grew up in Huron. So, you know, Saturday nights for race, you know, Orville Chandler State Fair Speedway, man. We spent a lot of time on that track, but you know, so Seafoam goes into racing, but it also comes into where probably more of our guests are going to be listening from the outdoor world, from fishing to, you know, hunting with your UTVs and ATVs, all the different things. You know, where did Seafoam start? Why did it start? And what the heck is it? I know what it is, but I mean, let's go back to some basics for some people.
So back in the late 30s, this guy and his brother over in Hammond, Indiana, owned a fishing boat and had a little motor on it. And back then they ran on a mixture of white gas and motor oil. Well, when that fishing boat sat for a couple of weeks in between fishing tours, that white gas and motor oil turned to a really gooey, sticky gum and varnish. And they'd have to take the carburetors off and clean them all up and to get it running again so they could go fishing again. Well, Fred Fandry worked for an oil refinery over in the area. And one day he went into the lab and told the lab rats in there, he said, you know, we got this problem with our fishing motors, you know, that we got to run this white gas and motor oil, this combination. And when it sits around too long, it just turns to gum and varnish. Well, they played around with some different petroleum additives to add into this and came up with this recipe that you could add to that mixture and it wouldn't turn into gum and varnish. It would stabilize the fuel for as long as they wanted, you know. I guess that was for season to season, you know, back then.
Sure.
And so Fred, he'd buy the raw materials and take it home and mix it up in his garage and fill up fruit jars or old whiskey bottles or wine bottles or whatever. And he was selling this concoction to all of his fishing buddies because everybody had the same problem.
Sure.
So he was making a little side action there,
right,
on his additive. Well, the word got out to some manufacturers, and Evinrude even featured it in their owner's manual for a while back in the day, and then they decided to make their own product. But no, it was just kind of a play on words, because when Fred mixed this up, he put a little blue dye into it, which gave it a seafoam green color.
Sure.
And one of his buddies called him up one day and said, Fred, I need some more of that seafoam stuff. And the name stuck, and the rest is history.
I'll be darned.
Fred started to get serious about it, and he started, getting a proper can on it and a proper label, and he would mix it up during weekends or whatever for a week or two, and then they'd make all these cases of product, and then he would travel around and sell it to different areas, And he found out it wasn't just for the marine application, but it also worked in automotive or motorcycles or snowmobiles or whatever. And so the business just continued to grow and grow. And Fred and his son Phil just made it a pretty good sized company, and they were based out of the Minneapolis area for a while. Fred had took a job up there, and his first distributor was some old Pontiac GM dealership that agreed to buy pallets of it from him and help sell it to other dealerships around the area.
I'll be darned.
And that kind of got him going. And then one day, Phil walked into another local distributor called Auto Miles and offered him, back then he had Seafoam and Deep Creep. And they said, well, look at all these additives we have out here. Heck, we've got enough additives. We don't need another pour in the tank, And Phil said, well, mine will take care of what 10 of those do. And they did a demo for him. They put it in the gas, they put it in the oil, they poured it down the vacuum line or down the carburetor, choked out the engine, let it sit and heat soak for 15 minutes, and then they took it out and drove it. Well, it bellowed smoke like a freight train. And the Mark Hansen, he thought, okay, you've ruined my car. And Phil said, don't worry about it. Just head down the highway. It'll clear up. Well, Mark had just had that car tuned up and thought it was running pretty good. He couldn't believe how much better it ran. It got rid of the spark, knock, and ping. It accelerated great. He even thought it shifted better, and they didn't do anything with the transmission.
That's funny.
And it became a product that was demonstratable. And Auto Miles they were the demonstrators. They were the ones to first really demonstrate like Armor All and some other products like that. They were one of the biggest spark plug distributors in the country. And so they like stuff they could demonstrate and show how it worked. So they took them on, and pretty soon Phil decided to retire, and he ended up selling the company to Mark Hansen. And so, but Phil had to stay on for a few years to help him learn how to run the business and grow it. And Mark and Phil actually took it across most of the country, one warehouse at a time, one jobber at a time, and into the shops and demonstrating the product. And it's grown to be the number one selling fuel additive in our category. We just received some marketing information from these people that do this nationwide stuff. 4 out of every 5 cans of fuel additive sold is Seafoam motor treatment.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's huge.
That's awesome. And I don't know how many times.
So
I don't know how many times somebody stuff's running rough, and I go get a can of Seafoam.
Right.
And you can dang near find it everywhere.
Yep.
And every once in a while they'll call me and they'll be like, they don't have Seafoam, and I'm like, well, try to find Seafoam. Because I've dumped it in the oil, I've dumped it in everything you can think of, and it doesn't hurt it. It cleans it up, and it whatever the magic to it is it works great.
Yeah.
And it's just a little white and red jar. I tell everybody, look for the white jar with red writing on it. It says Seafoam.
Yeah. Very good picture there. Yeah.
Right there.
So
the interesting story. The first time I bought Seafoam, not at the river, but I was using it to try to get an old vehicle running again. And I bought it and popped the top off, and I was just so upset because there was no foam inside. I'm like, what the, I was going to take it back. I'm like, well, there's no foam in here.
Yeah, where's my foam?
I was expecting foam. And then tonight I finally find out that it had nothing to do with foam at all. It had to do with color. So I think that's the coolest story about.
Well, and several years back, we were faced with a price increase, and we thought, well, do we take a price increase, or we could take that little bit of blue dye out of it to cover that price increase, and didn't change the effectiveness of the product or its ability to work. And so that's when it became clear, and we got rid of the blue dye. And we had a lot of people think, oh man, you've changed the formula. The stuff isn't going to work anymore. We didn't do anything to change the formula.
It works.
It still works. And, the story about just pour it in and take it out and run it, and I've been with Seafoam 20 years. I've used the product myself since back in 75. How many people have told me just pour Seafoam in and take it out and run it, and you'll see that just eventually, gradually, it just keeps getting better. And I especially hear that from guys who own boats. They pour a can or two in with the fuel because you can't hurt it no matter how strong you mix it. And you get out on the water and you get running, and the motor just keeps getting better and smoother. And they don't even touch the throttle, and they're going faster than what they started out as, And like I said, we hear that all over. But
I think
anyway.
does it kind of burn that carbon, that oil off the plugs a little bit? Helps keep the plugs a little bit cleaner too. Maybe there's just something amazing about it that helps motors run better. Obviously, it's cleaning things out in a carburetor.
Yeah.
So,
well, and the thing I'll tell you guys is that we're more lubrication than we are anything to help protect the motor. So we're always adding top end lube. But our combination of petroleum products help melt the gum and varnish, which releases the carbon particles, and then you're reburning it and kind of blowing it out the tailpipe. So that's why when we really douse an engine, sometimes they really smoke, Well, after you've let them set, part of that is the oil petroleum product burning off.
Sure.
But part of it is all those carbon particles coming off the heads and the pistons and the valves and all that stuff. So.
Yeah, it's a big deal. And one of the guys said that I think it was Chad said today's gas is junk. He said today's gas is not what it was. Yeah. There it is. Yeah, right there. So Chad said today's gas is junk. Yeah. It just doesn't hold up like it used to. It's the diesel is the one thing. I had a power stroke, and when they went to the low sulfur diesel, I got rid of it because it just gone. The other thing, I had a mercury. Hang on, let's see what Dan says here.
You put it
went through the ice. Sure, of course. So it's Seafoam is also displaces water and helps.
Well, it helps you flush out the engine and get the moisture out. And I've had to. I like rebuilding old tractors too, and sometimes you get those that have been sitting out and they've gotten water in the engine, and so you got to flush them out and rinse them out and turn them over and just help work that oil and that cleaning product through there to get all that out and help get that condensation out of there, that leftover residue.
So if one was like, okay, on the old tractor, if you were to pour it in your oil, you run it for a while and then you drain the oil, or do you just keep it? I mean, is it going to hurt your oil to leave it in there? Or is that something you run for a while, clean it out, and change your oil?
It all depends on how much you put in. So if you put in 1 ounce of Seafoam per quart of oil, you can leave that in there and don't worry about it. But if you mix it stronger than that, well, that's when you want to run it for a while, let it warm up, let it circulate real good, do its cleaning, and then do an oil change. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're putting in just 1 ounce per quart, we're pretty safe on that. We've had people that have been doing that forever. So
when I had guys that have old cars or whatever and blowing smoke, or rings are getting a little shoddy, or you're not going to fix a ring. You're not going to get compression back in a motor, but you pour some of that in there, clean it up a little bit. It seems to run better. I always tell guys, put some in, run, put it in, run it for, heat it up, cool it down, and then change your oil.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we're finding that sometimes the rings get cruddy too. They get carboned up and they get sticky. Yeah, right. Well, and if you put Seafoam into the oil, it helps clean up those sweeper rings and stuff and get that gum and varnish out of there, and they get flexing properly again. We've seen engines clear up and quit burning oil. So
I suppose even a bad lifter, you've got those little ports that through the push rods, and you've got all the hydraulic lifters. As you got all that stuff all gets gummed up and doesn't want to work. If you flush all that old varnish, all that crap out of there, and you get things moving again, you've repaired your engine and haven't done anything but pour Seafoam in it.
Now, how does it same principle in a diesel engine? Same principle that way with diesel compared to a gasoline engine. I've only used it in gas engine stuff.
Yeah. Well, all you guys running up and down the road, you got a nice vehicle to do that with. So we recommend to the consumer, try to use Seafoam every time you change oil, especially now with these newer motors with variable valve timing, fuel management systems, these diesels that they're pushing that EGR valve, pushing all that soot back into that motor. Add Seafoam to the oil before you change oil, run it for 100 or 200 miles. Let me help clean up that oil system. Now flush that out of there and help extend the life of your motor.
So how about the fuel injectors? Is it helping clean the injectors and then in turn the catalytic converter as well, maybe?
Well, we can't prove that we clean catalytic converters, but if we clean up the combustion chamber and get rid of that pre-burn, we help clean up emissions a little bit, and that helps freshen all that up a little bit. Sometimes we get check engine light on because the O2 sensor goes, what just happened here? You cleaned up the combustion chamber, and now the computer is resetting the injectors and the fuel air mixture, and it's running better. Yeah, we see people get mileage improvements.
So now you got a guy that Chasen over here is pick up 200 and some thousand miles on it.
160,000.
Is it going to be something you want to do from the very beginning of your vehicle, or does it ever hurt it at 200,000 to start doing it?
So if you've got a mechanical issue, I'm not going to fix it. Okay?
Yeah, right.
There's no wrenches in that can. There's no new parts. And if you've serviced your engine well, there's nothing to worry about. But these people that drive them forever and never change their oil, then you open up that oil cap and you see all that crud in there. Now you start getting dangerous because you've got so much buildup in there.
Right.
And you can do it, but you got to watch your oil and you got to maybe change it a couple of times real quick, so you don't plug everything up in there, because that's going to start moving all that crud.
Right.
Okay?
Right. Oh yeah. So it could be too late if you've got.
Too late. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And luckily mine it's a 2017, and by golly, it takes about 5,000 miles before the oil starts to get a little darker. So it's a pretty clean motor.
You're doing a good job on the maintenance. So like I said, we always tell everybody, it's just a good reminder every time you get ready to change oil, put the recommended dose in the oil, put the rest of it in the gas tank, and drive it. Because what you put in the fuel tank is going to end up cleaning the fuel injectors and doing some top end lube and cleaning the exhaust valves. But when you need to clean the intake valves, well, that's when you got to use our product called Seafoam Spray, and it sprays right down through the throttle body. So you're getting that cleaner over the intake valves now, and it'll help clean that coking up that's going on, that debris that's building up on the intake valves. So,
and is it cleaning the butterfly,
the valve body, or the
right, yeah, there we go. Yep.
Throttle body, and it cleans the combustion chamber and all that. But again, you're doing it while you're adding a good top end lube to protect the motor while you're doing that. Here's a little thing your viewers could do: put a cap full of Seafoam out on the workbench and light it on fire. It'll burn for a couple of seconds, but once the flame goes out, what burns off is our cleaners and moisture product that's in there. When the flame goes out, you still have a puddle of oil on the workbench. That is our high temp lubricating oil that mixes with your engine oil and helps protect your engine. It's just we show customers that all the time, and their eyes get real big and they go, wow. And that helps them understand the versatility of Seafoam. You can actually prime diesel fuel filters with Seafoam. Diesels will run on straight Seafoam.
Oh, no kidding.
That's actually where I learned about it back in the mid 70s, working on diesels. And I had to come home that night after this other guy taught the little trick to me, and I called my older brother up, who'd been a diesel mechanic for years, and asked him about it. And he goes, "Oh yeah, we've been using Seafoam forever. That stuff's magic in a can." And
I'll be darned.
Okay, and so it does help with the diesel injectors as well. Or easiest thing, guys, is just pour it in the fuel. Run it through naturally. It takes a little longer to work, but if you're not comfortable doing it in the fuel filter or really dousing an engine, just put it in the fuel and let it do what it can. Or the other thing I'll say is, if you go to our website, if you go to seafoamworks.com, we have how-to videos on all of our products, and they walk you through step by step on how to do everything. And it's like I said, we're one of the most consumer friendly products out there. You can't hurt anything. You really got to do something totally wrong in order to hurt anything. So, but the product alone can't hurt anything. So
I learned something tonight. I knew we were going to learn something. You always do. If you ask questions and you ask the right stuff and you give people the opportunity to talk, you most likely you learn something. The one thing that just crossed my mind, and I mean, it just went right across like the banner of your name that I'm going to pop up here real quick. How about that new building in Bismarck? Is Seafoam International building up in Bismarck? Have you been there?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so currently I'm the new business developer guy, but I was a former VP of sales for the last 10, 12 years. And I was a national traveler for him for 10, probably 8 years before that. But we split off the international side of it, which was all of Canada, and trying to get new business in other parts of the world too. And we're expanding into Mexico and Europe, New Zealand, China. And like I said, we're real strong across all of Canada. And so we spun that off, and that's what Seafoam International in Bismarck is all about. Seafoam Corporate is in Chaska, Minnesota, where that's kind of the home office there for all the above,
Okay.
And we've got another division called Seafoam Brands that takes care of all of our big retailers like Walmart and Menards and Home Depot and, big retailers like that, Target, other places like that. So, and then we're also in the hardware market as well, and all the farm stores. So, like I said, if you can't find Seafoam somewhere, I don't know, they must be sold out.
Did you guys ever get into the Seafoam finger business?
Not really. Not yet. Maybe might have to do that.
I think I learned something tonight that we were talking about bringing you on because it's Seafoam season to winterize your boat, to get stuff ready. But this sounds, what I learned tonight was you should do this all the time.
Yeah, right.
You really can. You can't overuse the product, but guys, we have other products. Like I said, we talked about Seafoam spray. We've got Deep Creep, which is our penetrant and lube. That's an excellent fogging oil for small engines, and it's a great gun cleaner and protectant. It's good for cleaning up your fishing reels. It doesn't have an offensive odor to it. We got our product called Bugs Be Gone for cleaning the bugs off your vehicles and helping clean the water line off your boats. That stuff is amazing. I ride motorcycle, and that's the only thing I'll use to clean that Lexan windshield and the fairing and polish up all the chrome. You spray that on, and those bug guts and bodies just start melting.
I'll be darned.
So we
got a good question down here from Chad. He's asking what's the difference between for Marine Pro. Okay, so here lately, the marine manufacturers, they don't want any alcohol in these new motors. Mostly is what they're after, probably ethanol, gasoline. Mm-hmm. Okay. But regular Seafoam has a little bit of petroleum alcohol in it called isopropyl alcohol. Well, they were still throwing us under the bus. So we took the ISO out, we put in an anti-corrosive. Now you have an alcohol-free fuel additive called Marine Pro. Stabilizes fuel for 2 years, still treats 1.5 gallons per ounce, so that the treat ratio is a little better. And again, you can put 1 can in, you can put 5 cans in. You're never going to hurt anything. So another little funny story, when I was on the road a lot, wasn't paying attention to my gas gauge. I run out of gas running down the interstate. Well, being the Seafoam guy, I got a couple of cases of Seafoam in the back. I dumped a dozen cans of Seafoam in the fuel tank, started the engine up, and drove up until I got to the next place where I could buy gas and filled up.
No kidding.
Never heard a thing.
Hey, don't be telling that to we don't need that out there, because these fishermen that can't carry gas in a tournament, they're going to try to get away with carrying cases of Seafoam. Like, you say you can't carry gas.
I'm okay with that. They can have a case of Seafoam.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're fine with that.
Yeah.
When I tell them no carrying gas, I'm going to look in boats all next summer and see cases of Seafoam sitting there. Yeah. And I'm going to be calling you.
Yeah. So, the other thing too, guys, that little bit of ISO that's in Seafoam hasn't hurt an engine in over 80 years, and it's not gonna. So, you can use the regular Seafoam or you can use Marine Pro. So, but, you got a lot of new boat owners out there, and they're going to follow the
manufacturer
the book
recommendation,
on the owner's manual, and that's
Yeah.
fine. We just wanted to give you a product that you could use. So,
yeah, good question, Chad, and great answer.
yeah.
So all the different products, I mean, like you said, you got the Bug Be Gone, you got all the different things. It all started with the regular old Seafoam. And then how did Bug Be Gone? How did all this other stuff come along just out of necessity, or one day they're bored and they're like, let's add this?
Yeah, Seafoam was, they discovered that regular Seafoam was really a good penetrant and lube. So then they put it in the can, called it Deep Creep, because you can spray it on something and it actually crawls and moves and will actually climb up threads vertical. So like I said, it's just amazing stuff. Well, then California a few years ago wanted us to lower the VOC in it, so we did. But there came a need for Seafoam spray with the new GDI engines. So we made a long straw and a hook and called it Seafoam spray, packaged it differently. And now the automotive industry loves that for doing upper air intake cleaning and top engine cleaning.
Sure.
And you can do that on your new boat motors that have a throttle body on them. You can use it there too.
Yeah, right.
So, Deep Creep. And we got a product called TransTune for transmissions, power steering, anything hydraulic or fluid drive. That's just a good cleaner and lube, not a stop leak. It's not a seal sweller. The Bugs Be Gone, we bought that off of a guy out in Montana. I can't even remember what the year it was on that, 25 years ago, maybe. We found out about him, and Mark Hansen went out and rode with him for a couple of weeks and learned about the product and ended up buying it and adding it to our lineup. And it really is an amazing cleaner. Not only does it take the bug guts and bodies off, but the road grime, the bird, whatever, and you can clean carpets and upholstery with it. I keep some down here by the washing machine because I get a stain on my shirt once in a while.
Sure.
So I'll spray my shirt with it and throw it in the washing machine and help take that food and beverage stain out. I've cleaned carpets with it. I keep it in the camper. I can clean the shower stall with it. I can clean the microwave with it.
And will it take a wine stain on a white carpet?
Yes, it will.
It will. Yep. No kidding.
We were in a campground and I was handing out some samples and the gal asked me if it'll take out red wine. I said, well, go give it a try. And she come back and she goes, it took it out. So anyway, one of my guys was in a RV dealership not too long ago, and somebody just bought this brand new RV from this dealership, but somehow there got a stain in some of the upholstery in there. And they asked my rep if he could, let's try your Bugs Be Gone on that to see if this takes care of that. Otherwise, this is going to cost us a couple of $1,000s to replace this and get it put back in, and because the guy lives somewhere else. Perry went in there and treated the stain and took care of it with a wet rag, and it cleaned up real nice. And Perry said, well, it's wet, but when it dries out, you'll know for sure if it cleaned it up. Well, Perry ended up calling the dealership back, and the guys were just so happy and grateful that he did that because the guy was happy with it. The stain was gone, and they didn't have to order any new upholstery parts. So, and we do a thing out at the Sturgis Rally with Bugs Be Gone too, and hand out little 2-ounce bottles out there for all the motorcyclist guys. So,
will it take the bugs off your teeth then?
Yep. but it doesn't taste very good though.
Yeah, right.
You're gonna need a rinse after that. You might need a chaser. So, yeah. And then we've got a full synthetic power steering fluid that's good for all makes and models. We've got our detailers, an interior and exterior detailer that are phenomenal. I love them both. I really like the interior cleaner because it doesn't leave your upholstery greasy and oily looking or slippery. It just leaves a natural look, and it leaves a little UV protection on there. And some of the detailers and the Bugs Be Gone you can buy direct from Seafoam at seafoamworks.com or bugsbegoneworks.com, either one of those addresses. And because some retailers have the Bugs Be Gone, but it's not all over the place, and the detailer stuff is fairly new. So,
okay.
We got to build that market for it. And, and then we got our little IC5 injector cleaner, which we decided to come out and be competitive against one of our competition on that. And we have taken really major market share with that too, because if they could do a pound of cleaning, we made sure we could do 5 pounds of cleaning.
Really?
And the consumer has noticed, and we have taken market share like crazy. So that's another really good product. So that, I guess, to me, that's what we try to bring to the market is stuff that works, because Seafoam motor treatment is so well known and how well it works.
Yeah, you can't bring a new.
We don't want to disappoint anybody.
Yep, right.
Yeah, you can't bring a product that's just okay.
Yeah,
but especially the foundation like Seafoam.
Yeah.
You got, if you're gonna put the Seafoam name on it, it better work well.
It has to work. Yeah.
And that story goes back to 1931.
Well, it was kind of the late 30s.
Okay.
I'd say around 35, when they were starting to play with it. And then it was, what do I want to say, trademarked in 42.
Okay.
So, yeah, we've been around a day or two.
Went through, built it during the Depression, went through the wars, the whole 9 yards. And was it ever purchased by the government for military vehicles, or did they maybe had their own concoction? But
we do sell Seafoam on military reserves. We're very popular there. We're popular in a lot of markets. Sure. There's a lot of state patrols or police departments that use our deep creep for gun cleaner and protectant. Even Homeland Security or FBI, somebody down in Texas was very impressed with it and like that. The guys on the border are very impressed with it. The Border Patrol guys. So no, we call on everybody. A lot of states and municipalities love the product because it works, and it's very user friendly. They don't have to worry about harming anything. So, yeah, we get a lot of mileage out of that.
Yeah, that's a big deal. It's been a fun conversation tonight, but we cannot let you go until you talk about your is fly fishing a hobby? Is it a passion? You're a fly fisherman. Tell us about, because you can fly fish around the Sioux Falls area a little bit, can't you?
Well,
so to speak, down in Iowa.
I can go practice my casting. There's any fly fishing around.
Fly fishing, right? Like
there's nothing in the Big Sioux River. I'll tell you that. So
I've been fly fishing a couple times in my life. Once when I was a kid down at a family reunion in Iowa, some relative of my dad's uncle, cousin, whatever, built fly rods. Took us out, first time I ever did it. Hadn't done it in years. My good friend Buddy Signer took me out and goes, there's nothing better than when the white bass are popping behind the hospital to come cast a fly rod. And I went down there and I hadn't done it since I was like 14 years old, so dang near over 20 years. And I grabbed that fly rod and it was an absolute, I wasn't great. I mean, I couldn't cast that far, but by the end of it, I was getting it down. He's like, you're close. You're snapping your wrist too much. You're doing this. You're doing that. But I could, if I can cast 10 feet to catch one and let it rip that off, that's all I cared about. And it was so much fun to do it. But I mean, I had some guys come out from Montana for a Delta waterfall thing a couple years ago, and they're like, "We want to go fishing, but we're fly fishermen." I'm like, "Okay." I said, "It's in like June." I'm like, "I don't know what we're gonna get." Well, I took them out and they're catching catfish on fly rods, and they thought that was the coolest thing in the world to catch catfish on fly rods. They thought it was so much fun.
Yeah,
I
like a nice quiet stream where I can lay it up there and just watch it come back, and you can see the fish right there just looking at it. And if you don't bring it by just right, they just pass you up, and no, ain't gonna happen.
I tried fly fishing one time, and the rod and reel and the hooks are so small. I finally just decided a fly swatter was better.
Yeah.
Nobody even picked up on
that.
The
first time I went fly fishing, and I had a guide with me out in Colorado, I nicked my waders going through a barbed wire fence and getting into the river, and I didn't realize it. Well, I get in the river, and all of a sudden I'm feeling that one leg is getting kind of cold, And I kind of figured out, after digging around, I found where the nick was. Well, too bad. Well, pretty soon it spills over and starts going down the other leg,
Oh no.
And when it got time for me to get out of the river, I had to kind of take it real easy. And I'm trying to trudge out of the river with these waders full of water. And I get up on the bank and I lay down and I put my legs straight up in the air and all that water coming out of there, And
no.
God, I laughed. I'll never forget that, And
we got to go back to Seafoam. It looks like Nathan's got a good question here.
Okay. Question for Kevin. Using your product for years, can I buy direct from you in bulk to save any cost? Nathan, sorry. We do everything through distribution. So if you can find, maybe you got a buddy that works at the auto parts store or the farm stores, and some of these places offer a case discount. So you just got to look or ask, I guess, and see what they'll do for you. Okay.
Runnings is good at putting a sale price on Seafoam a few times a year.
Yep. So
fantastic.
We've got a lot of good retailers out there, and you got Runnings, you got Fleet Farm, and all the other farm stores that are out there in the country, because they're just great partners of ours. Another one down out of Baumgars, or another one down here out of Sioux City that are great. And just a lot of them around the country. Tractor Supplies, another good one. They're all over. Just great people to work with. All the automotive guys, your Advanced CarQuest, Napa, O'Reilly's, Federateds, and Auto Values and Auto Zones and all that stuff. So, they're all great partners, and even the big retailers of Walmart, Menards, Home Depot, all those guys, and hardware. They're just great customers and really enjoy selling our product. It's a must-have for them on the shelf. So
well, and people are heading to the Dakota Angler Ice Institute in Sioux Falls this weekend. Obviously, they can get it in numerous places in Sioux Falls if they want to grab some. So
yep. There's plenty of it on the shelves in different locations around town.
And you guys, you don't spend time at the trade shows. I don't know that I've seen Seafoam in at least the last few years at, say, the Dakota Angler Ice Institute or St. Paul Ice Show. Or
we haven't been to those shows. I mean, we do. I do the Sport Boat and Camper Show here in Sioux Falls, and we do different farm shows around the country too. But maybe I should go out there and walk around and check it out and see what happens.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you
look for me, I'll be in my Seafoam gear. I'm a big guy.
There you go. There you go. Okay.
The thing about the ice world is we're all switching off of gas to drill powered, running our 12 volt or 18 volt drills. But I mean, there's still times that the gas auger is great. Now that I have a propane driven auger. Like, would that be the Seafoam, like this, the foaming Seafoam? Like what do you run through that engine? Because it's got an oil in it. You don't use that at all in there.
Well, you could probably put a little bit in the oil before you change oil in it, but there's no way to introduce it into the fuel to do anything like that. So,
Okay.
But propane burns so clean anyway that I don't know if it benefits you much there at all. But ice fishermen, you still got four wheelers or
you got, right.
You got a vehicle lake and
So I would assume. Oh, Curt disappeared on us. I would assume that it would help in starting in super cold weather. You get into that sub-zero weather, you have better starting, better running. Right?
Well, you've got better fuel quality when you're using Seafoam. Seafoam puts the good stuff back into the fuel and just helps improve it.
Yeah.
So
I've been here the whole time. I just bumped the USB port for my camera.
Oh, good job.
Well, we were afraid we lost you there for a second.
Yeah, unfortunately, you didn't get that lucky tonight.
So Curt, are you going to be at the ice deal too, or?
I don't know. We've been debating back and forth about going. Got some stuff going on here, and we are, we travel quite a bit for fishing tournaments and stuff and hunting, and so it's kind of nice to sit on my couch for a weekend. I haven't done that in a while, so guided a lot of pheasant hunters over the last couple of weeks, and I got to go up last weekend, take two good buddies swan hunting. They unfortunately didn't have tags, but they got to come with and watch me shoot my swans. Now they're going to have tags next year. So, it's just a lot of, I don't know. We might show up Saturday. We don't know yet.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
Laney asked me to go to the show, so I got to go to the Laney Wilson show, and it's Jackson Dean and Zach Top too. So big show. And the crazy thing is, you just walk down the hall and you're at the Denny. So you're there, right?
yeah.
So yeah. So Kevin, I hope we see you there at the Dakota Angler Ice Institute. We'll have to chat. I'll buy you a Coke. Maybe they sell beer. I can't remember, but Coke or Mountain Dew or something like that, and a burger or something. We'll chit chat. So it's been great to have you on the show.
Okay.
Thank you for taking the time
thanks
to
for having me.
join
I've
us.
enjoyed the conversation, and I appreciate all your listeners too.
Thank you.
It's always nice to get something different, So
always, if they got questions, go to seafoamworks.com, or you can look us up on Facebook at Seafoam Works or Seafoam Seafoam. What is it? It's
Seafoam tastes good. No,
it's Seafoam. I want to say Seafoam Professional, but that's not it. But anyway, if you look up Seafoam on Facebook, we got Seafoam International on there too, and I got too many accounts.
I got you, Chad. Thank you. Thanks for watching, Chad. Kevin, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We hope to see you this weekend, and if not, hope to meet you in person sometime. Say hi to Mark Hansen for us, and tell him thank you for letting you come on. We do appreciate that, and thank you much. Happy holiday season to you too, because it's all around the corner. I mean, it's coming fast.
It's all here. Year's over with, guys. Yep.
All right.
Thanks,
thank
everybody.
you. Take care.
Hey,
all right. Thank you.
Take care.